Swifties, be for real. Be so for real right now.
What's up, everybody, and welcome on today's episode. If you're joining for the very first time, thank you so much for tuning in. Taylor Swift released her album, and people have been talking about it, especially on Twitter and as well on TikTok. There was a particular song on that album that the lyrics was not really doing it for people. Though there are other Swifties that are coming in and defending the lyrics, but so many people are talking about it and talking about how tone deaf the lyrics is. In these lyrics, I'm going to read it to you guys because I can't play due to copyright. She said, friends used to play a game where we will pick a decade we wish we could live in. Instead of this, I would say the 1830s, but without all the racist and getting married off for the highest bid. Everyone would look down because it wasn't fun now. Seems like it was never even fun back then. Nostalgia is a mind trick. I had been there, I would hate it. And a lot of people are coming in saying you reduce everything that happened during that time to racism. As slavery was going on, people were being sold. This sparked so many conversations, and I have put together what the people are saying. So without wasting much time, let's get right into it.
I wouldn't say the line in itself is racist, but I will say it's out of touch. It's definitely coming from a place of privilege. Because to say that you would love to live somewhere like in the 1800s, except without the racism, that comes from a place of privilege because you're making the assumption that there's no racism today. You hate it here now, but you would hate it then. But you might have actually loved it because you did date Maddie Healy on purpose for free 99. And that man has a long paper trail of racism. And you still dated him.
Ma'am, I'm sorry, it was not just racism. The 1830s had slavery, a crime against humanity. And minimizing that horrific time to just racism is a slap in the face, whether that was your intention or not. And as someone who loves writing about the Victorian era, I would never, ever want to go back there. I have many reasons on why the 1830s was the wrong era to pick, even for a wealthy white woman who is cosplaying as Bella Baxter. Number one, cholera. Not only was there shit in the streets, it was in the water supply, along with rotten bodies, sewage, and other trash. Cholera would give you explosive diarrhea, and you would have to squat over a chamber pot to let it out. You were stuck with that smell in your bedroom. If you were lucky, you had a chair apparatus like this to grasp the handles for dear life. You would become so dehydrated you would turn blue. And guess what? If you needed to drink water to quench that thirst, it was still full of shit. And if by some miracle you were able to make it to the outhouse in time, you would only have scraps of newspapers, journals, or old magazines to wipe your explosive diarrhea off with. But your death would be swift. In fact, it might have come shorter than that 30-track double album. And then your lovely little stew pot full of poo would be dumped back into the street. Darty-loo!
So, without all the racist, but with slavery still? Prepare thyself for what is going to be the next week of insufferable white women twisting themselves into pretzels to try to justify and defend this ridiculousness. Why? Why this year? Out of all of time that you could have picked. And I can't get over the fact that she went out of her way to write, but without all the racists. But didn't mention anything about all the slavery? Because if you're gonna talk about that time period, you kind of can't ignore that. At a certain point, listen, I don't understand how someone allowed this, okay? And when I say that, I mean, none of these people are just writing their songs by themselves. You look at any of the album credits, you'll see that there are multiple writers on each song. The writer didn't step in and say, let's maybe pick a different time period. People are saying that this is a backlash, but it's not really going to be a backlash because, again, she has a ton of digital unpaid bodyguards who will swoosh in to attack anybody that criticizes, makes fun of, or calls this out.
Swifties, be for real. Be so for real right now. I thought that Taylor Swift line was a joke. We would pick a decade we wish we could live in instead of this. I'd say the 1830s, but without all the races. That's a bar. So out of all the other decades, Taylor, the 1830s is where you would like to be? Are you kidding me? Not only were there racists there was slavery, Taylor. It's giving out of touch. And you know what, Swifties? Miss me with the, you're not reading the whole lyric, it's out of context. I got you. Let's read it together, shall we? My friends would play a game where we would pick a decade we wish we could live in instead of this. I'd say the 1830s, but without all the racists. And getting married off for the highest bid? Huh? So what was that? I'm ready for y'all to defend her and that lyric in the comments. I'm so ready, and I'm going to read them all. I'm going to tell you right now. Because what the heck is that? The 1830s, y'all. Taylor, you don't write bars, sweetheart. It brings me back to what Aretha Franklin said about you.
Taylor Swift.
Okay, great gowns, beautiful gowns.
And I'm going to tell y'all right now, if she wins Album of the Year, girl.
Now, Swifties, calm down before you get started. I think Taylor Swift is an amazing, talented woman. I'm not one of those people who think that she's absolutely not talented. She is a mediocre white woman because, that's just how society is built, but she is very talented. Okay? I'm going to preface it with that. Baby, what the hell is this? What the hell is this? Who approved this? And they keep saying, it's the context that matters. She's saying that, nostalgia is a trick. Who approved this? Y'all are not about to look me in my face and tell me that we would pick a decade we wish we could live in instead of this, I'd say 1830s, but without all the racists. Somebody make it make sense. In addition to just the in general racism that has been happening as a result of Cowboy Carter being released by Beyonce, I think this really just highlights where the bar is for artistry when it comes to whiteness. Caucasity. This is straight Nordic behavior, and I just don't understand it. And maybe I'm missing a piece, but yeah, this ain't it. TT, hit the drawing board again. Wrap this up immediately. Take the song off of streaming. I don't know. Yeah, I don't. It's too much.
I need the Swifties to tap in. Swifties, please tap in, because I have a question. So I saw this lyric on Twitter, and I heard the clip of the song, and everyone's like, what the fuck? So Miss Swift said that, her and her friends would talk about decades they wish they could have lived in instead of this one. And her choice was the 1830s, but without the racists and without getting married off for the highest bid. And my question is, what else is left? What else is left? If you take those two things out as a woman, what else is left? Yes, you're white, so racism never really affected you. It might have, contributed to wealth back then, but you were a woman. In the 1830s, you did not have rights. There's a TikTok that I just saw today of someone talking about how back in the late 1800s, pretty much women couldn't use public restrooms. And I'm gonna tag it, but they were pretty much it took the building of department stores in the late 1800s for women to be allowed to use a public restroom. And they called it a urinary leash. They pretty much said that a woman's journey can only be as long as her fucking bladder, which is kind of fucking insane to me. And so the reason for that is because they didn't want any loose women hanging around, and that's fucking wild. So that means that even from the 1830s on, you couldn't even go to the bathroom in public. You had to wait until you go to your friends or family's houses, because you're not going to the fucking mall in the 1800s. Literally the only reason was when department stores like Macy's and stuff came to life. It's I guess in order for women to stay longer, they're gonna have to pee. And so yeah, you couldn't even pee in a public restroom at that time. So then my question is, what else is left? What's the appeal? Is it the outfit? I mean, I guess you fit that tall, slender frame, but you also have to put on a muscle in order to give the illusion of big butts. which was to emulate the black and brown women that was around. So I'm just very confused. Like, I just need someone to explain it to me. That's all that I have.
Ma'am, I'm sorry, it was not just racism. The 1830s had slavery.
And the Trail of Tears. Now listen, I'm not about to start making Taylor Swift content, but I did see someone say that Taylor doesn't represent girlhood. She represents white girlhood, because honey, tell us you don't have any black friends without telling us you don't have any black friends. These are some of the most tone-deaf lyrics that I've ever heard, because you really just minimize life in the 1830s to racism and forced marriages. Really, Taylor? That's like someone losing a foot and you call it a paper cut. Poetry, this is poetic. Listen, I understand not everything is for me, so I'm gonna hop back in my lane, with artists that actually sing about experiences that I can relate to, because baby, this ain't it. So I'm gonna let the Swifties have this one, because this clearly ain't the lane for me.
In a new song, Taylor Swift said that she would rather live in the 1830s, but without all the racists. This is a terrible pick. First of all, right off the bat, this is still like 90 years before women get the right to vote. But second of all, even as a white person, it feels like when you're answering the what decade, what time period would you rather live in question, there's really only two paths forward. The first path is about a maximum of 65 years into the past. Any decade in there, you're gonna get access to some very cool, nostalgic stuff. You might get leaded gasoline and cigarettes inside. You might get Jimi Hendrix and the moon landing. You might get prime Michael Jordan and glass Gatorade bottles. Path 1, lots of cool stuff in there. Path 2 is full send, other end of the spectrum, several thousand years into the past. I'm talking prime feudal Japan. I'm talking prime ancient Rome with like bathhouses and the hanging gardens of Babylon and stuff. I'm talking prime Mesopotamia and the dawn of civilization. Are you kidding me? I just don't understand. 1830, that's like 70 years after the Industrial Revolution, but 100 years before they invent penicillin. What do you gain from 1830?
What do you guys think about that lyrics, and what do you think about what these people are saying? I saw so many comments of people saying, you all did not even listen to the entire song. You all are just picking on something and just bashing out for hits, because so many of the people who have spoken how this is such a bad take and a bad reach, there were comments of people saying, did you even listen to the end of the song? And people are like, there's no need to listen to the end of this song. These lyrics alone is tone deaf, and it's coming from a place of privilege. You guys already know that Taylor Swift have so many fans. There are people who are definitely going to be there standing strong and defending whatever it is that is going on. I am still going to be doing a part 2 because people are still speaking on it. The album is still pretty new. There are people even coming for the other people talking about this particular lyrics, that people taking it far. But we all know how sensitive those periods were. And say you want to go back and live there, but without the racism, and marrying the woman off to the highest bid, like that is the only thing you're not interested in. But there are still many other things, like going on, like saying that you hate it here is more like saying there's no racism, or racism does not exist in this part of the world right now. So I would like to hear what you guys think. Do you think people are taking it far? Have you listened to the lyrics? What was your first reaction even before coming online to start people's tweet about the song? What was your own first reaction? Let's continue this conversation in the comment section, and I will definitely catch you guys in the next one.